right, what's happening, everybody? It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington. I'm doing another one-on-one with the supervillain, and I'm setting up my phone just in case because my internet has been trash again. Because Spectrum is just horrible in life. It is what it is. But if you've been watching these for the past several months, you know I come back around with a bunch of amazing people who are members of my supervillain squad who support me, and I love having these conversations with them each and every month. You know, we talk in between time on different things, whether it be discords and whatnot, but these get in depth and these are amazing. And I'm back with one of my favorite people to talk to. Say hello, everybody, to Jolene one more time. What's happening?
Hey, not much. Just dealing with the new year, and
I was gonna ask, that's the thing. Every month has been different because of everything has changed, and now we're in a new year.
Yep.
So how was your holidays, first and foremost?
The holidays were good enough. Typical family fight eventually. But it happens. So
It's like typical family fight eventually. It happens. I mean, it's just, a lot of people are, prone to having those holiday family scuffles, if you will.
Yeah.
Luckily, mine was, relatively easy, which mine could have been just a disaster almost. But, I was with my daughter and her mom, and all three of us just got along well. We were all just playing games and everything. It was cool. So I was like, oh, thank you for a good Christmas, and then, New Year's was cool. I went home to Chicago. New Year's was cool for that. I'm 12-0 with COVID test, which means I've been winning every time. So
good to hear.
Yeah, 12-0 with COVID test. So, but now, we're in a new year by number, but the feel is still the same of 2020 thus far.
It's like the New Year's Eve is a marked difference from last year, in which I went to Beyond Wrestling's New Year's Eve show, versus this is just like it's just another day. It is just a day.
I think that's how, because like I said, I went home just to get out. I just couldn't be. I went home to Chicago, and it was just like, it was, normally it's, am I going to hang at somebody's house or not? Because I've never been one to pay for parties to go out to. Like, people pay $150, $200 for a party. I'm like, even if I have it, I don't want to do. It's always this. Even if I have it available, I'm not for that. And so it was just like you said, just felt like a regular day. And then all of a sudden you woke up. It was the first. You were like, okay, because I mean, me and my homie, we hung out, and then like I said, had a drink or two. That was really it. But hung out, and then like I said, wake up the next day. Okay, it's cool. And then you're like, oh well, this is the countdown to hopefully things getting better. And then 6 days into the year was like, well, 2020 ain't letting go just yet.
Oh no, one person's definitely not letting go. But yeah. Well, I got a second monitor, so that's how like my new setup. That's why I'm like angled this way, so I don't have my camera stacked on a bunch of boxes that are just rickety on the bed. So
nice. Like I'm working on trying to get some more things. I'm literally. It's funny because I'm on my desktop as always, and my laptop, I'm using it to export a review. I did a review of One Night in Miami. And for some reason, Adobe Premiere Pro wants to be the biggest asshole ever, and is telling me as of right now, it is going to be 16 hours until my video was done exporting. I said, excuse me?
Oh, no.
I'm just going to let it sit here because hopefully it'll start to go down as, as it progresses. But I was like, 16 hours? That's what okay. You know what? I'm not using my laptop anyway today, so I'm like, it's plugged up. I'll just let it do the render or whatever. But yeah, it's just, trying to just move forward. I can't wait.
Another good thing for me, because I've been lucky. I kept my job throughout all this. I'm officially debt-free. Like, all my credit cards are paid off. My student loans have been paid off. I mean, my car's not paid off, but like that's got like an automatic payment. So like, I'm not worried about that as long as like
that's got to be a great feeling to have.
Yeah. Because all right, like I forget how long ago when I first moved out of my parents' house, got an apartment, where shared it with a stranger, which was like dangerous, but like I basically had run of the place because he was always in his room, and like I try to like invite him to be part of things, but he's just I'm gonna come home and just goes into his room. I'm like, all right, so I basically had the whole thing to myself. When I did that, I was like, I went crazy. I bought like a really big, nice TV and a surround sound system, and then I was like, I'll just consolidate all my debt onto one credit card. Just but then I kept using the other credit card, so thankfully that's all gone paid off now.
Good. That's a good thing to have. 'Cause I know a lot of people are like, especially this past year. And like you said,
Yeah,
yeah, you've been lucky to still be working. And some people who are still working, still have amassed the amount of debt, because
yeah.
I know some people who had to take pay cuts even though they were working. And I was like,
Oof,
but
that
again,
sucks. Yeah,
hopefully we'll see what things, the fact that there are people pushing back just from raising the minimum wage, like, oh, this will cause people to get fired. You're like, are you stupid? Are you really stupid? Like, nothing surprises me anymore. I mean,
yeah.
I'm at the point now, nothing surprises me with anybody anymore. Like, that's why I'm just like, I've been telling people this. The main reason I cannot wait till Wednesday, which again, it'll be the 20th of January already.
Oh yeah. Wow.
You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
big it up.
already.
And it's funny on the wrestling level because of well-known people in AEW that are just such chuds, I guess is a good way to put them.
It's
So
funny
I'm like,
because,
haha.
well, they were this, but see, here's the funny thing about it too. It's just we're openly knowing about it now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
like that's one of the reasons Cass was leaving. Cass was gone from
Oh yeah, like
WWE,
yeah, I remember a lot of the stories with him. And
and
I'm
Big
like,
Show knocking his ass out. That's why when Big Show had that match against him and knocked him, that was a shoot hit.
more respect to Big Show. Love that
Yeah.
guy.
And so, all these, we find out about all these different people who were donating to dude and all that. But again,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I take away from it is I also remember, regardless of how horrible a person the Orange Fuck Muppet is,
Mm,
people are still Republican and conservative when it comes financially.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
literally think that way.
And again, with the people, uh, they're very public denying of COVID, and then just this past week, oh yeah, no, I did have COVID. But I didn't have any symptoms, but I had it sometime back in
But
September.
that's the worst. Those are the worst ones.
Yeah,
Those are
and
the
I'm like,
worst ones.
it's like shocker. You went and played at a concert with no one wearing masks, and then you were saying there's only this many reported. Like, yeah, that's the people that reported it for one. And then, anyway,
No, because I get it. Because I'm like, it's the same thing with like,
and
out here in California, more specifically LA, excuse me, how they're like every 1 in 3 people have COVID. But the fact is, they shouldn't have said. If you want to scare the shit out of people, telling them every 1 in 3 people have COVID
yeah,
does.
that's a nightmare. That's a
But
nightmare.
what you don't tell them is the only reason you get 1 out of 3 is because you get 1 out of every 3 people that have tested.
Hmm.
Like, and that's the problem. Like, I understand, it kind of goes on the level of what the Orange Fuckman was like, yo, we have cases because people are testing, which is true. It's good. But when you just say, yeah, 1 in every 3 people has COVID, you're like, wait, what? Like,
And then again, I'll just say Jericho. He was my favorite wrestler, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time growing up. And then like you find out more about their personal life and their beliefs, and I'm like, oh no.
oh, trust me, I found again the wrestling world. That
Yeah,
is one world that will never shock me ever.
yeah. I know I shouldn't be, but like I'm like,
But I get how you feel, but it will never shock me solely due to the fact that having traveled the road with people for 15 years, seeing how they are with you because you're one of the boys, you're part of the family because you're on the road together. So everybody's cool. There is no that's where that bullshit of I don't see color comes from when it comes to oh we've all been together. But the moment we're outside of that, I see you for who you truly are.
yeah.
You
Well, that's
know,
why, like, remember, I think it was came out recently. where Hogan said, "Yeah, there's some younger people that don't treat me with much respect." I'm like, shocking. I'm so shocked by this.
Well, because again, you have a person like Hulk Hogan, and to a lesser extent, sometimes I think Flair knows better. Flair knows better.
Yeah,
Even
like
though, even
I,
though Flair
I
is Flair, which
yeah,
people got
I
to
can
stop.
assume based on where he's from, up time he grew up. I'm like, he's he can't be I doubt he's a perfect angel, but like he has never been recorded saying flat out that I am a racist.
But it's been reported. But like Pete talent that has worked with him is like, yes,
Yeah.
Flair's called me the N word. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, with Hogan, he thinks he's a god still in the industry, and he thought God is infallible. So when it all came out about him, he was like, "Oh, they'll forgive me because I'm Hulk Hogan." And again, you got a whole new generation who is like, "Hey, bro, I ain't got to fuck with you."
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not like he's gonna like have a match with them to put them over, and it's not really like even if he did, would that really do anything for a lot of people watching? I maybe some, but like the newer generation probably just doesn't. They just know of this guy. Like, oh yeah, he's there.
I couldn't see, I can't see Hulk Hogan having a match with a younger talent, younger generation talent, especially a black talent that is over already in this day and age, and him putting them over. I
Yeah,
can't see it.
I like, and beyond that, it's not gonna be good. Like as a child, sure, I was all on board Hulkamania. Then I got older and older, and I rewatch old things, and like you watch his old matches, I'm like, how is he the hero? Like, because
You ever notice you notice that too, huh? You look at his matches, you're like,
he's
wait,
con- he's constantly cheating in matches.
Hogan has always. That's what my one of my good friends, my old radio show co-host J.R. Bang, put this up, and he said this to me, and I never thought about it at first, and then I started watching old matches, and he was like, Hogan has always been a heel.
Yeah,
You just never caught on.
it's so weird, like, because I have friends, they had a wrestling podcast, Not Your Demographic, and they were watching every WrestleMania for the Patreon, and like, obviously, they're women, in this modern age, like they didn't watch old time wrestling when they were
Mhm.
growing up, so like, and like they're like they think he's ugly. I'm like, fair, that's fair. Like, he's not the most attractive man, especially when you're up against Roddy Piper, who is a dreamboat back
But
then.
they never put him. But they never touted Piper
I
as a
know.
looker.
I know, but like he was gorgeous, and then also Ricky Steamboat, another dreamboat, but like he was
Mhm.
always like a wonderful baby face. But like it's always Hogan, 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 and like he's always cheating. He's not the most, and he's not very exciting. Like, I know.
If you watch a lot of people. I know how people give John Cena shit for years. They were like, John Cena only has 5 moves of doom, right? But Cena would put those 5 moves together in the midst of every other. Like Cena for himself has 5 moves, but he can wrestle a match.
Oh yeah,
And
like
also the John Cena character that you saw did see when John Cena was the prototype. John Cena wrestled. John
mhm.
Cena that we see now doesn't have to really wrestle.
Yeah, like but then like he would get like the indie match basically in WWE
Mhm.
where it's like, oh, I want to wrestle this person, and then like his Kevin Owens matches, they're like amazing. So like I'm like, oh, he can do stuff. He doesn't
When he
need
wants
to.
to. He's like Orton. He's
Yeah.
like Orton. Like this generation, this version of Orton again is back dialed in. This
Mhm.
Orton is like, I'm working, I'm having fun. You can tell he enjoys coming to
Yeah.
work because
Like,
we've seen those generations, those times when Orton is just like,
mhm. Well, and it's like another one, Shinsuke, we've talked about him before. Like, he doesn't care. He's basically on his retirement tour, but he gets away with it, like, because he still has like even in his laziness, he's still charismatic in his
yes, he is.
persona. Whereas like Orton, when he's lazy, he's not even that charismatic. But like Shinsuke is like, wow, come on, and
Because
it's
I
just
was,
so cool.
I have a buddies of mine have a wrestling podcast as well, and they have a Facebook group for it. And one dude posted, he was like, oh, I hate how they burying Shinsuke Nakamura, blah, blah, blah. I said, yo, let me let you know something from firsthand knowledge. Shinsuke ain't being buried because he don't care.
Yeah.
You will never hear about Shinsuke complain. Shinsuke is happy he get to surf.
Mm-hmm.
It is less. He do not have to take that abuse on his body. Like everybody's like, go back to Japan for what? That's why he came to America.
Yeah, and a conversation like this came up last night when I was watching Hard to Kill, which I definitely want to talk about later. But like, it came up because I mentioned like I don't really watch New Japan. I didn't watch New Japan. Like I've seen a couple of the big shows with Kenny versus Okada, like the 2 times. And so like the Good Brothers there, I'm like, yeah, I didn't watch them, so I don't have the love or like the frame of reference for Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson as like this big amazing tag team. My frame of reference is them in WWE, and like they clearly weren't used very well. And my friends are like, well, Carl Anderson's really good, but he's like Shinsuke lazy in WWE, but he doesn't have the like charisma of Shinsuke to make him still entertaining. So I'm like, oh, okay, that checks out.
Well, Kenny Omega, when it comes to Omega, he's never been a fully, like, if you really look past the cleaner, he's not really that entertaining. He's great in the ring.
So like even the cleaner thing, like I love current Kenny, the current heel, just like mega shithead Kenny Omega. I don't know if that's
fucking time.
Yeah, like I love it because he's just like a ridiculous over the top supervillain, which I think he thrives on because he loves comics and video games and ridiculousness. But so like I don't know if it's the same as when he was the cleaner, but like it is fun. It is just fun to see him being so like shitty.
But also he gets to do something as a heel that honestly no one has ever been able to do. And that's, go from promotion to promotion.
Oh my God.
Like everybody be like, well, what about the Invasion? No, because they never went. No one ever went directly on WCW.
Yeah, they owned it all.
Right. And so he is the first person to ever be able to go to another promotion openly promoting who he is as the champ of another company and talk shit.
Yeah. And like, other than like the ECW, it was like more of a showcase when they would show up on Raw. But it wasn't an invasion. But like he is the top champ, and he just pinned the top champ of another company clean on a incredible pay-per-view. I loved it. Like I thought Hard to Kill was better than the last 2 AEW pay-per-views that I recall. Like there's some amazing matches here and there, but like I think built up card wise, like there was good story for all of these matches.
You know what? I have my only issue when it comes to Impact right now, and yeah, they did do a solid pay-per-view. My biggest problem is this Kenny Omega thing is literally supposed to benefit Impact Wrestling, and it's not.
It's really not. It's really not. Especially because like Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan, when they buy their ads and they're just constantly crapping all over Impact, I'm like it's funny. Like I get some amusement out of watching Tony Khan do it, just because like his voice is higher pitched than most people would expect, and he just sounds like a little whiner baby.
Also, he's the biggest mark to ever own a company.
Yeah. But like when Tony Schiavone does it, like when the ads, I'm more okay with it. But when I hear him do it on like AEW commentary, and then I hear Impact commentary like praising JR and Tony Schiavone and all of them because like they're being respectful, they like those people. So I'm like, this is weird. Like Tony, stop being so mean.
Also, okay, cool. You got Kenny Omega coming over. That's cool. Okay, you do the champ. All right, you brought the Good Brothers over, but that's only in the essence of the Bullet Club, the Elite, whatever you want to call it, because Tama Tonga finna fuck around, throw a lawsuit out their way real quick. But it's nothing benefiting Impact. Like
I don't, maybe more views. That's all I know.
But it's only in the hopes of seeing. But I don't even think it's really like views, like, because it's like, okay, you haven't done anything. If your AEW hasn't done anything besides say Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, that's it. Mm-hmm. That's making anybody really want to sit up and watch Impact all the way through. Now, if you do something with the women, because you need to boost up AEW's women's division, you need to pump it up. The Knockouts division is getting views again. Mm-hmm. It took a while because it was that rebuilding phase. You had a bunch of women nobody really knew yet. that you had to rebuild. Cool, you're doing this now. You've been teasing Ty Conti and Anna Jay as a tag team. Have them go up against the new Knockouts tag champions.
Yeah, like I saw it on Twitter. It was Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. They had a little video.
Yeah, I knew it was Kiera. I didn't know the other one.
Yeah, and they're talking about, and I forget who said it, but it was like, yeah, we've got titles. We don't have participation medals for winning some tournament. I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. Like those medals did not. You don't have a tag division, AEW. You barely have a women's. You have You're using two titles, and you barely use them, and one belongs to another company. It's very confusing.
And AEW's women's championship is on Hiroki Shida, right?
Yeah.
Is she in the US?
Yes. Yeah. No, I think she was like the only one that officially moved to the US.
Okay, because I'm like, that would be the only. Because like every time I hear, I'm like, yeah, you'll go up against the AEW Women's Champion. You'll go up against. She ain't here this week, but you'll go like. And I get every champion doesn't, and I'm not saying the champions have to wrestle on every show, but it's nice to see them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, we've had our conversations with like AEW and their Tony Khan. I pin it on Tony Khan because he's in charge overall. But like the one women's match a week happens around 9:30 for less than 10 minutes, even like their title matches. So.
It seems like, because I remember you bringing it up, and I started paying attention. They're starting to take notice because they put a few earlier in the show.
I think not this last one, but the one before that. Like it was much earlier in the show. I remember that. But last week's was definitely right around the usual time. But like, and like, I watched Impact last night, and it's just like you have 4 separate matches with like that strongly feature women. There was 3 matches with women in them. Like there was an intergender tag match, the Knockouts tag title match, and the Knockouts championship match. No, then you just had a backstage segment with Alicia, and then she came out at the end of the match. But like, just feature women. Like I don't get it.
It's for a lot of them. You have to remember this. There still is this small level of belief that women's wrestling is not far and wide accepted. The problem is, we can say, yeah, we can say, no, that's not true. Look at such and such and look at this. But when you break it down, Bailey was even talking about it in her interview with Stone Cold, how she's upped her game, but she's not as big of a star yet and given that spotlight like Becky was. Nobody right now, the only woman we still hold to Charlotte is going to be Charlotte because you're not looking at Charlotte outside of the ring. You get what I'm saying? Outside of those four corners, you're not looking outside of Charlotte for anything. Becky Lynch, however, was able to transcend that. And you would think that they could have carried that momentum. If the WWE would have carried that momentum from Becky to the entire division, it would have been something different. Now, here's something that I know that I haven't said on the broadcast or anything, and this is the first place I'm gonna say it, and you get to hear it. So, the WWE is finna bring in a very problematic bitch at the Rumble.
Oh no! There's only one that I can think of that's not signed with anyone, and oh no! Why? Well, I mean, they tout Hogan out all the time, so it's unsurprising they'd bring in another one.
It's not surprising. They waited till everything died down.
It was a long-standing fear. It was like,
for those who don't know who I'm talking about, Tessa Blanchard would be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And she's going straight to the main roster.
It's
because you get to tout her as the first ever women's world champion.
But she's not, but like they can do that. Kimberly, technically, then Sexy Star, but she's also problematic as hell.
You'll never bring Sexy Star. Be lucky she ever get another job anywhere.
Yeah, she's just like, no, thank you. But Kimberly, Chikara doesn't count. Nobody wants to talk about Chikara anymore because the owner ruined everything.
Which I mean, for me personally, it hurts to hear that, because of the history I have with Chikara.
Oh yeah, like as I've heard others, Eddie Kingston talk about it. It's like, look, we have our memories, and like those are still valid and good. But like, it sucks that it's probably dead. But Mike's trying to bring it back, and uh, Mike is not doing a lot of favors for himself in interviews. So
No, he doesn't. But Mike's always, if you've ever talked to Mike, Mike can be like that. But it is. I'm grateful for my time in Chicago because, again, the people in wrestling in general, the people you meet who have gone on to become legends, who've done other things and whatnot. That's how I met Brody. That's how I met Brody through Chikara. My year of King of Trios. My first year of King of Trios was how I met Brody. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's how I met Brian. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I met Brian. That's how I met all these people, Claudio, everybody.
yeah, like they had so many like great people and great matches throughout the years, and like it was fun. It's just when you find out other stuff, then I'm like, oh man, that's heartbreaking.
You know what? But at the same, by the same account, let's just be honest. Let's keep. You know how I am always.
Mm-hmm.
People still watch the WWE.
I know. Oh, I know.
And Vince McMahon, not only we haven't not, it ain't even just the stories we've heard.
Oh yeah,
it's what we've seen him put on TV.
Yeah,
with him, not even anybody else. What's up, my nigga?
Oh yeah,
that flew on SmackDown. What's up, G? Talking to Jonathan Coachman. Now we can go to the sexual harassment level even more.
Yeah. Like the first female ref that they've erased entirely.
We can go through all that.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy because, again, people still watch it.
I know. Like, I knew no matter what, like, I wasn't excited, but I figured Tessa was going to either be signed by them or AEW because
I think
AEW, and
I think too much. I think the connection is already had been before we saw it. The connection was already too strong with TNA. So think about it. Because remember, just because we saw it finally come to fruition, think about how quick Eddie Kingston and all these people who had just been released showed up. Think about it. It didn't take no time for them people, like they're not re-signing their Impact contracts.
Well, Eddie was released from NWA.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. But like appeared in, different people appearing over there and whatnot, and then coming to AEW.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't have got too much. That was too much heat. Impact caught.
Well, I remember it was the Tony Schiavone after show. Somebody asked her, and just like apparently like the sound that he made and the words that he said was like, I don't know about her. She's kind of difficult. So like, oh, Tony, okay.
It's without, because it's saying it without saying it. Like, ugh. But and the thing was, she tried, and that's the problem too. Yes, I get no one wants to be labeled and known as a racist, but if you don't do and say racist shit, you won't get that label.
Yeah, and it was basically a year ago where, like, to this past week where it all came out, basically. It was hard to kill last year when she won the title.
And like, oh, what a difference a day makes, in this case, a year.
Yeah, like, because she made that tweet of women support each other, and then
like, she made hey, that was the greatest. That by far has to be the single greatest incident of that didn't go the way you thought, did?
Nope.
Because soon, like, it took no less than 5 minutes after she put women should support women for a bunch of women wrestlers. Like, hey, bitch, hey, bitch, it just went, hey, what about, hey, bitch, no, you didn't say, and you were just like,
yeah. And it, like, her one tweet basically destroyed Impact's main event for a
it did. Nobody cared.
I was super excited, and then I'm like, she's gonna win, and my stance is still, look, it sucks that she is a terrible person, but it's important that a woman still won that title. But now I'm looking forward to the next woman that wins it, because that maybe, hopefully I can cheer them on. And they kept pushing her as a baby face. That was the problem.
That's
another problem.
you are openly known as an asshole. Like you can't. But you again, that's the beauty, if you will, of pro wrestling, where we have these happen again. She's gonna pop up. So now the biggest question is gonna be: I know she debuts at the Rumble. I know she goes to the main roster. I don't know which show they put her on. Now, if Vince McMahon is smart, and I hate that I'm going this way, guess what show she goes to?
I'm trying to think.
SmackDown.
Okay, I wasn't sure what roster's on what show, so what
She's
women
on,
are on which
you know
show.
what? Just because it's Fox, because it's on Fox, it's perfect for Tessa Blanchard.
Okay.
Look, Fox Network as a whole may have a diverse array of programming, but the views. So I can see her going. Plus, you want to give, if you bring in somebody like her in, you're offering her money, and the way she guaranteed gets this money is you put her on national TV, because people forget Raw isn't national TV. Raw is just cable TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Fox is national television.
it will be. And I hate having to talk about her like this, but it's going to be interesting because Royal Rumble's not going to have like the indie crowd that would pop knowing her better. Because I don't know how many people like outside of like that followed indies know her. Because like it's always confusing.
Because remember, she did the Mae Young.
Yeah, but like
how long ago?
First round.
Yeah,
and like they didn't sign her because of her problematic nature at the Mae Young Classic, so.
which is crazy to me. Yeah. Like, how terrible she can be when it comes to the wrestling business is a dog eat dog world, whereas you are fighting to get that spot and be at the top. I understand this. I've been in it. I am still in it. I need to get back in the ring because, man, I'm going to do that. But I understand that. At the same token, you've had women who were like, when you did the Mae Young Classic, these are your future superstars who are like, I am not comfortable with her. And henceforth, you can let her do her matches. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate you. Boom. Bye. Then turn around 2 years later, because it's like 2 years later.
Yeah, pretty much.
2 years later, you hear all of a sudden, Tessa Blanchard put out a tweet. What did she say? Women should support women. Wow, that sounds amazing. Let me tell you what followed. Like, that's how it goes.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
And
still,
then you
currently like still love of mine in wrestling. Allison Kay was like, excuse me.
Allison Kay was one of the main ones. She was like, Kiera Hogan, all of them was like, before you go further.
Yeah. I don't remember Kiera saying much because she was working with her at the time. I don't think anyone at Impact said anything.
No, she said it like most people said it in an around the way. You get what I'm saying? They didn't directly say it.
Yeah, because I was looking, I'm like, what way could this be read? I'm gonna choose not on Tessa's side.
But that's what I'm saying. When you read certain things, like they can't say it directly, but when you read, you're like, okay, I know where you stand on this.
Yeah.
And so, but now you also Rhea Ripley comes up. Okay, cool. If I'm them, here's the problem. You don't really want to put both Rhea Ripley and Tessa on on SmackDown, but don't put Rhea Ripley on Raw because keep her away from Charlotte. I don't need to see that because automatically it's a guarantee to happen. It's like, no, if you're gonna do that, build it again. Give it time.
Although, like, I mean, that's temporary, but Charlotte's tag champ, so she can go everywhere. And also, they're all in the same building, so that's
no matter what. They all come the same. They can go. The thing is, if they're taping, because that's what they've been doing pretty much. They've been taping, so everybody's in the build. Raw's in the building like all day on a Monday. SmackDown's all day on a Tuesday or something like that, unless they need to come back and reshoot some matches, which again is so fucking
like beyond obviously. But like the fact that like they still have a brand split when they're all just filming in the same location, it seems kind of pointless. Like I feel like now is the time where you could just, all right, let's pause this brand split for a while.
Here's why I disagree. It still works because you're still being able to spotlight more people with the brand split. Think about it. If we consolidate Raw and SmackDown, not forget NXT, that's its own roster. But if you consolidate Raw and SmackDown into one roster, now you're struggling to get people on the shows who have been on the shows. Apollo Crews would not be in the position he's in, unfortunately, if the brands were consolidated again.
That's true. I mean, I do love actual separate brands. I've always loved that.
I know,
And I
but
always get
get
frustrated.
it's the same bill. I get what you're saying. The thing I wish they would have done, to be quite honest, there's one thing. I'm confused why they didn't do this. Why not just set up the SmackDown entrance for SmackDown? All you got to do is set up those little rings. Just set those up.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Like, they could even, I mean, probably not, because I don't know how arenas actually work, but like, I remember way back TNA, they had like 2 entrance ramps. There was the heel entrance and the face entrance, like on opposite sides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, nobody else is in this building. You could set up whatever stage you want. Like,
you know what?
Like,
it's so funny to me because people who think about heels and faces, because you're like, wait, that's the same. All of them are in the, because when you got to think about it, if you think about it, critical thought wise, excuse me, the same backstage all of them are at before they're about to go fight.
Oh yeah, like when you get into the logic behind professional wrestling, it really does just fall apart, because I'm like, well, they're sharing a lot, unless they all have individual locker rooms, which we know they don't, only certain, because they just so men's locker room or women's locker room sometimes. I'm like, so these people that hate each other sharing locker rooms, unless like they built up a good story reason why they have a private locker room, or they just say like, oh yeah, look at us, we got all the money, here's our private place.
But one person on that show, on either roster, defies all of that real quick, and it's R-Truth, because the 24/7 title is supposed to be defended anywhere. Can you imagine you changing clothes and then he's half naked, somebody rolls him up? Like, when you think about these things,
like, I love the rules of professional wrestling, and they are nonsensical. Like, last night, Impact, they had the old school rules match. I'm like, what is that? And somebody's like, it's an ECW rules match. I'm like, okay, but are they going to respect the rope break? Because lots of people forget that ECW always respected the rope break.
No matter what.
It never made any sense, because if you're still in a submission and you're in the ropes, like, they're not going to get DQ'd, but they still respect that 5 count. Like, but somebody else could just run out and choke slam you, but no, that's all right.
Like, I remember when they all of a sudden, because I don't think anybody caught on that out the blue, they just started having where triple threat matches were no DQ, no count out. Because it was never always like that.
Oh, was it? I don't like.
As long as I remember triple threat, I mean, no count out, yes, but no DQ.
Well, like, I bet because I think, is that a WWE thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they fell into the problem of like, well, they don't want to do eliminations. So if you DQ yourself, you'd be eliminated from the match, because they like no, you got to break up the pin. ECW always did elimination or the 3-way dance is what they would call it.
That's
and
what
I love them. Because Tajiri would break up pins because he wants to beat the other person up more. Never made sense, but like, I love Tajiri, so it was always Tajiri, Super Crazy, and Little Guido, and those matches were always incredible.
Well, remember, now that we talking about crazy matches, remember when Raw sat there and said that there would be no wrestling? WWE said there would be no wrestling in commercial breaks, and so they would always have a one-on-one match. And then some crazy stuff happened. What's gonna happen? We're gonna restart this match once we come. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, again, it's crazy because you have everything that they've had to adapt to with the pandemic, and now that the craziest thing ever happened, that they announced 3 WrestleManias.
Yeah, for the next 3 years. It's like,
I mean, it's smart to lock them in. You already have them. Now, the Hollywood, the one here is the only one, is the one it's like, okay, about time you give it to them. You make sure you wait until everything is clear and cool,
and that's
to do what you need to do.
23, right?
23, yeah, 2023.
2023.
But they are still gonna pull out the two night thing in Florida.
if look, if they do it the same they did last year, I'm okay with it. But yeah,
No, I don't want to. I don't want the performance center.
oh,
That
I mean like, but like a closed set, no fans, which
yeah, but how
I
do you
know.
do that in the stadium?
Oh yeah, that's right. It's listed for a stadium. Yeah. Uh, I can't. I don't have an answer for that. But
You know what
like,
I'm saying? How do you do that in a stadium? So you're gonna have fans.
yeah, that's
They're going
all
to
right.
have
Yeah.
fans.
Well,
But what I think they may do, and
defeats my.
what I'm hoping they do is literally limit, because Florida is open as we know,
Yeah,
and
Florida.
they literally have the green light to sell that bitch out. So one of the things I on top of that, I hope they limit the crowd attendance size, so you can just tarp off. Yeah, I know it's WrestleMania. You want to show all this shit, but man, everybody understands it's a fucking global pandemic, right?
Uh, we would hope everyone understood that.
People understand it, they just don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
The second part, you just have to not allow international ticket sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds fucked up to say, but you literally look, you already got to run the risk of people in this country moving around, spreading shit consistently. We know it's a thing, it happens. But the risk of people coming in from other countries in general,
Yeah.
and
Like,
I'm, just for people who are watching this and thinking, oh, I'm singling out one country. I'm not. I'm talking in general.
yeah, like, because then it's just, oh, like these countries, yeah, no, maybe they've had their shit together and they've cleared things up, and then they come in, catch it from somebody else, and then nope, it's just like the end of that Planet of the Apes movie.
But also now that I think about it, because I just again had to remind myself, it's January 17th right now.
Yeah.
WrestleMania is in April. Anybody international wouldn't be able to make it this quick. Number one.
Mm.
International people wouldn't be. I mean, even though I'm saying like you cut it off, like there are some people with money who could potentially fork it over, but the majority of international fans not gonna happen. The majority of regular fans, now, if you had a ticket, I think the thing is, if you had a ticket to Mania already, that's gonna be honored. If you didn't get
Oh
a
yeah,
refund,
for sure people are gonna go because like, look, I forget what the indie show was called, but like it was that it was supposed to be originally WrestleMania weekend, but then they held it in like Ohio or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, people for sure went to that and definitely, spread COVID more.
but that's another thing. That's another thing that can happen. That won't happen. There will not be. That's the beauty, if you will, of them announcing it last minute per se. Because they had to announce it now, because why? The Royal Rumble's in 2 weeks, so you had to know WrestleMania was happening if it was going to be the locate. Everybody pretty much assumed it was going to be at Raymond James. Everybody pretty much knew that. We knew they weren't going to give it here. They wasn't giving it here because it was supposed to be here this year.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it wasn't going to happen. Okay, cool. So now you have to announce it what's happening. Now you announce the 2 days. You're going to do the 2 days again for sure. Of course you are. That was all they needed to happen. I told everybody once that first one was a test run. If they got them numbers to watch it, they was gonna do it again, and you got it.
And look, like I said, I enjoyed it, but it's also like, oh wow, WrestleMania where like it's done by 10 p.m. or 10:30. This feels nice. Do this more
I
often.
think that's the biggest thing too. Like you're not holding people hostage.
Yeah, it's not 8 hours long.
What it does, but what I'm saying was it stops indie shows. Remember, WrestleMania weekend, no matter where WrestleMania is, draws a bunch of people who go to a bunch of different indie shows who sometimes don't even get tickets to Mania.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're not going to have a bunch of indie shows all of a sudden made and last minute booked in Tampa. Because you got to convince all this talent that a lot of talent has been very safe and hesitant about doing shows. So now you got to convince all this talent that, we got this show running, that show running, this show running, that show running, WrestleMania weekend.
That's I could see GCW trying it because I don't have a lot of faith in Brett Lauderdale as a person. And he seems like he's got enough money to try to get it together last minute. And I'm like, it's a nightmare to think about people if they even manage to like score like, all right, we've got this location, we've got these dates.
That's what'll happen. I just thought about it. There'll be promotions that'll pull it off because you just made me think about it. They will do like a lot of other stuff. They'll be doing we're streaming live, no fans,
Mhm.
or we're streaming live from an undisclosed location. Only X amount of tickets have been available.
Yeah.
So some will do it again. It's not going to be a lot, and it's really going to. I think if they do this or not just saying GCW, any promotion outside of WWE that does it is going to the talent will be looked at in a certain way. Because again, normal WrestleMania weekend puts eyes on you from people around the world. That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Than
Well, like similarly, like I listened to the AEW podcast, and they talked about like, yeah, like there's a pandemic, so like before when we would look at people, now we're like kind of look at you warily if you're doing like a lot of these indie shows right now.
Yeah.
That's why like it's understandable why they're like using talent from Thunder Rosa's promotion. They're using their trainees a lot. Like the people like, all right, we have close connections to people in these specific places. We're going to use those people. Like here's a lot of the Buffalo boys because we have a strong Buffalo connection.
That's what I mean, and it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. Again, that's how when the pandemic first hit, they told some talent like because that's how my boy Shug D got on. Because Shug's an Atlanta boy, so he just drove in. Robert Anthony, he flew in from Chicago, but they had like, yo, you cool with this? Like, again, it wasn't really no crowd and everything. It was them doing it.
Yeah.
And they started using the wrestlers as the crowd. But then the sucky part about it was once that died out, they stopped using those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, yo, especially the Pineapple Pete gimmick that Shug had was working.
Yeah, like Jericho was putting him over big constantly on the commentary.
Constantly, Jericho put him over. So it's like, this is personal, and I'll say it. I would have rather seen him more than Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, like I mean, I love both because like I have the same exact history with them. I knew them both from Shakara.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, we could see he wasn't Fist. It was like he was in the Gentleman's Club. I'm like, they were all in the Gentleman's Club together. And Chuck Taylor was always ragging on Shug because like he was the baby face and everybody else was the bad. He was the Technico and everybody else was the Rudos. But like
Fist eliminated us from the second round of the King of Trios. I'll never forget.
Oh yeah,
Team Fist eliminated. We beat Team CZW round 1.
Oh yeah,
Fist eliminated.
That was way early, Chikara, back when they had a working relationship, huh? Back before what's his name took over.
Yeah. And it's just again, it's again, I understand as a wrestler, and I understand wrestlers want to go to work and you want to go back to entertaining a crowd, but and I know some guys who've been working and they're like, yo, I can't be scared. I got to make money. And I'm like, listen, as a man who has 2 kids, I get you have to make money, but also,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've been watching people doing shows in places. I'm like, I would not trust, I don't trust anybody in this city, in this state, because these are the people who think, oh, it's just the flu. And like, yeah, I know somebody who had it and had no symptoms, and forget everyone is not like that.
Yeah. Like I had a friend like that was telling me about like, hey, there's this show in Jersey, and they've like I've followed the promotions and they're very like for like about like their safety protocols, and like he said, and like my friend kept inviting, I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going. I went to one outdoor show and I had fun, but like I could space myself away from everyone. Like there was no like these are indoor shows in the winter, and I'm like, and I said like, and yes, if is there any merch I want? And then like when he went there, they refused to sell any merch because they don't want people that close together. So I'm like, all right, well that's good, that's good. So
I've seen people go like, yo, I'm not selling merch. People who've been doing shows been like, I'm not selling merch at shows. What I am doing, you better hit me up online, buy it here, buy it there, but I'm not selling anything at shows. And some of you said, look, I'm not taking pictures.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them.
Like I can't remember. It was a Chicago promotion, but like Ty Conti was there and like they were doing meet and greets. I'm like, don't do meet and greets. This is a pandemic. Like, and I think like all
it was Warrior Wrestling, the one that was outside at the on the football field.
Yeah,
It was in the south suburbs, and I don't know, I forgot who's running it, but because they had the money, they had the financial back, and they was doing it, and because they was gonna make their money back on the ticket sales anyway. But and then the meet and greet, like that's another percentage for the talent. But shit, who wants to take that risk?
And like, it's no surprise. I can't remember the name of the event, but it was the one that Janelle's spring break was at.
Yeah.
Like, there was like that happened, and then all of a sudden you stop seeing AEW performers at these indie shows. It's like, I wonder why, because how many people like came in contact with COVID positive people?
Yeah, it was like, yo, if you want to, you got to make a choice. We already told y'all, we'll let you do certain shows, but now you being reckless. So do you want to keep working with us, or do you want to keep doing this indie bullshit right now?
Yeah.
Because again, yeah, you might be able. You have some people who will be like, oh, well, I can make a decent amount on the indies. The Young Bucks, they made 6-7 figures on the indies, but now you make it more. That was, you still had to do the wear and tear of travel more than anything. Which is, people forget, travel is not easy. It's not. It sounds like, oh, you just either get in a car or you just get on a plane. That's tiring. And so now all we got to do is we got to come down to Florida once, twice a week. And any other business thing we can do, we hold it through Zoom.
Yeah.
We hold it through Zoom. And so, because I've heard about, I got a friend who used to work for them. They have a bunch of Zoom meetings. It's everybody, a big Zoom, everybody's on it. And it's like, why do you? Because it's weird. Like, Dustin Rhodes has his wrestling school now, and again, I can't say anything because I go train. But the thing is, when people train, the people who come to train, you have to prove you've been COVID free. Like, you have to show a negative test.
Yep.
Like within the last 72 hours or so. So you can't just come up in here, because the place where we do it, it's also a studio, and the guy runs it. It's his business, so he can't fuck around and get sick with COVID and can't make money. But it's such a catch. It's the same thing with stand-up comedy now. Like, there are comics who are doing outdoor shows, and some outdoor shows can be cool, but outdoor shows as a whole are terrible because you need laughs to encompass. An outdoor show, laughs just go.
Spread out.
They spread out and go.
Acoustic thing, right?
Yeah. And so, but then you get some people who are like, well, you know what? I'm going to do this indoor show. It's only X amount of people here. Like, I know people who doing clubs in Arizona, Florida, and shit like that. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I guess for me, again, a lot of them I see doing it. Now, some I see, like my buddy Brad Williams, comic. Brad just had a daughter. Now, Brad makes the money in the house as a comic. So after a while, all that savings you had, you got to start replenishing it. So I kind of understand the reluctancy, but you have to do it, right? People who got families. But people who are just on their own, who are able to do some other shit in the time being, look, you better figure out something.
Yeah. It's just people not like fully accepting the reality that we are in. And it's just like, well, you're going to have to at some point. Like, I don't know. Like, I've been like seeing some, like, I know Chris Dickinson, he was supposed to have a huge indie weekend last year, Mania weekend. And now I think he's over in Japan. So I'm like, good for you. Like if you, but like you could, and like he wants to work there, obviously. And like, I know they have like better protocols probably than a lot of our indie shows. So
that's why Japan, that's why Wrestle Kingdom went off without, everybody was like, how the fuck is Wrestle Kingdom about to happen? And then you saw the crowd and everything, and everybody was like, oh, that's how, which I get, which brings me back to WrestleMania. How much you want to bet they try to figure out everything that New Japan did to apply to WrestleMania? The problem is Japanese fans respect wrestling. Wrestling fans as a whole act as if they're owed something.
Yeah. Also, beyond that, even before a pandemic, I was very accustomed to seeing Japanese and Asian people, when they're sick, wearing masks.
Wearing masks because they were normally sick, not even a pandemic.
Yeah, just for like, I've got a cold, so I got a mask on. You expect that for American fans in Florida?
In Florida?
Yeah.
And then the next year you're in Texas. But again, I think Winston and I talked about this on Blurs, or I talked about it with somebody. the announcement of vaccines were the best and worst thing that could happen, because not even that people had been administered. They've been administered. The fact they were available, people were like, "Oh, I can get a vaccine. I'm good." And then you have people when it comes to the Pfizer vaccine, they tell you it is 2 separate doses.
Mm-hmm.
You get idiots. I got one. I'm vaccinated. No, you dumb fuck. That's why you can still get COVID. And then also, it's not a cure.
No, it's not a cure.
It's not a cure. People forget that. They're like, yo, if I get a vaccine, I should never get it. It is a vaccine, not a cure. But now, again, you have a vaccination. You're about to have 4 on the market. You got Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca is about to get FDA approved, and then Johnson & Johnson got one that's only 1 shot now. Johnson & Johnson developed one that's not two different inoculations. Now, let's see how fast Florida gets it. I want to see how that works.
Yeah. It's like, people, there's flu vaccines every year, right? They always change, right? And it's just like,
but these stupid mother. And then if you try to tell somebody, because this was the best part, I had a discussion the other day online, and somebody was like, well, COVID's like a cold and the flu. I said, actually, it's not. I said, you hear all of the effects that people are having and everything. Do you know what COVID's actual technical name is? They were like, what? I was like, it's SARS-CoV-2. This is the SARS virus. And guess what SARS did? It was tearing China's ass up when they had it. This is an evolved version of SARS. That's why people are getting fucked up with it. But yeah, some people do get it, and luckily their bodies and immune systems fight it. Everybody doesn't. But people like that just that dumb.
It reminds me of another dumb wrestler that said, "No, I have faith in my body to be able to fight off anything. I don't want a vaccination."
Who said that?
Nia Jax.
Well,
I think it was like an Instagram post of hers.
First of all, Nia Jax, I lost all respect for her when I found out she was a QAnoner.
I'm not. Did she? I wonder if she bought in, or if it was Drake convincing everyone and pulling Drake younger.
Well,
because he's leading the charge there. We all know that when we follow social media.
I know Drake works, and I was like, okay, bro, I get you. You gave your life to Christ. I am a Christian. I get it, especially after all you had been through, doing all that Drake younger stuff, all the drugs you did and everything. I respect that. Now, this other level of shit you've gone to, bro, stop.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because like I knew a lot of other, like, because that was again before my time, but like I knew a lot of people that were fans of his, and then like, oh no.
Like, I think Drake and I were friends on Facebook. I think I unfriended Drake. You know what I'm saying? I was like, nope. I said, nah, I'm not doing this. Because it was like, I can't see myself. Why am I going to put myself in a position to watch somebody I know is just spreading lies?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then Nia Jax, because she had one of those Save the Children shirts on, but it ain't like, that's how I knew, because I was like, people keep doing the Save the Children shit. Like, stop. Because what you're not talking about actual victims of sex trafficking and actual victims, actual child abuse. You're talking about, you think there's a fucking pedophile ring under a pizza parlor.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, like I know, like basically seeing that's a red flag now. Like people that say Save the Children, I'm like, that's a red flag. Are they actually caring about things, or are they just bought into this conspiracy theory?
Well, shit, we got a broad, like, I hate to say it this way, we got a bitch like that in Congress.
Yeah.
Who literally was like, yeah, I'm here to stop the global pedophile ring. Well, y'all, you know what? Unfortunately, the reason they can't do shit is this bitch was duly elected by the people, which again should let anybody understand. And I know I hate to go play. If you want to censor people and don't let them talk and all this crazy shit, and you want to, and they're stealing the election, that broad would have never gotten elected. Marjorie Taylor Greene would never be in Congress because she is perpetuating and spreading all the shit that everybody else is talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, she wouldn't be able to have this voice. But again, when you have wrestlers who do it again, they're 2 different worlds. There's the pro wrestling world and the real life world. And to see Nia Jack, but Nia's from San Diego too. So depending on what part of San Diego, you could have.
I remember another. It's not related to this, but it's just more wrestlers saying dumb shit. But like it was, I really enjoy her. But Jordan Grace, she posted a tweet during basically the terrorist attack on the Capitol of saying like you may see a lot of wrestlers post a lot of dumb shit today. Remember, a lot of us have been dropped on our heads a lot.
No, I know why she's because some wrestler was there. Some wrestler, I forget, I didn't see who it was, and somebody was trying to say shit like about Brody and all this, and it was like, oh, I'm a heel. No, I know where she was coming from.
Okay, because like the way he played it off of like this is a big old self burn.
Like, no, it's not from her. No. It's talking about how people are gonna say stupid. You get a lot of wrestlers that's about to say a lot of stupid shit. Again, Jackson Riker has been real fucking quiet.
Yeah.
But everybody was like, he want to say something.
I was just like, I'm like, Jordan, I don't know. This seems like like I said, self burn. I'm like, a lot of like, this is a bad time.
No, I get I knew what she was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, it was somebody. It was and I can't remember who it was because I got to find out who it was. But they was like, somebody let their ass have it because the wrestler was like, oh, I'm still playing the character. I'm a heel, and everybody was like, yo, motherfucker. Every single pro wrestler has dropped the gimmick for this. There's not a wrestler, heel or face, that is sat there and kept in character and gimmick for Brody Lee's when it comes to Brody Lee's death.
Okay.
So it's like you doing it. Nah, don't give me that. You're trying to be a heel. You're an asshole.
Okay.
And you try. Oh yeah, you're trying to get cheap heat, but you doing it. There are certain ways you get cheap heat, and there are certain ways you burn every motherfucking bridge quickly.
Yeah. Like Bad Mouth, one of the most beloved, talked about people. It's really gonna. I can't imagine somebody picking you up. And even if they did, imagine dealing with the roster that were close personal friends with that person.
Because you're gonna have to, because you got to work them, and they're gonna tell you that this is what happens. Yo, look, professional. We just got to work. Let's go out there. Let's do this. Let's go out there, perform. Come back. You're like, cool, yeah, everybody good. Little do you know that same person that told you we're professional, blah blah blah. Soon as they get a shot, soon as they see an open moment, they pop in your ass one good time, at least, and say that's and gonna whisper to you that's for Brody.
Yeah.
So and the thing is, it's not gonna be the only time you catch it. You're gonna keep catching it.
And yeah, like I mean, like it'd be. I remember, like I could see like the stories when Miz had to change outside the locker room in hallways. I'm like, no, they're gonna like all turn their backs to you. Like they would. Idiot. Why?
Right, because when he was like and I know we'll end this in a few, but I know you noticed some of the promos he cuts on Miz TV when he talks about how he had to fight for respect and all this. What he don't include is how he thought he was the shit real quick, and everybody was like, "Bro, you just got here.
Yeah,
calm down." Like even if you are, and that's the thing people forget. Even if you are out here somehow having 5-star matches nightly. You out here just making shit amazing happen. You still just got here.
Yeah. Like, yeah. It's just.
But he don't bring that up. He brings, they turned their backs on me, blah, blah, blah. You don't tell them why, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, especially like on camera in the ring. Like I've seen like I forget what it was, but it was like he would watch his old moments and like he would do commentary on his old stuff. And I've seen him like, he was like, talk about how basically eating shit. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I was such a shithead back then.
Oh, Randy Orton did it when he did the thing for The Undertaker. He talked about how I was an asshole. I was too egotistical. They put me in the position and I thought I was untouchable.
Yeah.
Like you put me in this position, I was untouchable. You put me with Triple H and Ric Flair, and then you brought in Dave Bautista. I'm the youngest world champion, which he doesn't say because you wanted to get that title off Brock. I'm your youngest world champion. I was a shithead, but now as a grown man, I realize my mistakes.
Yeah, like that's the most we can hope for, is people owning up.
Look, when Randall Keith Orton said he understands why people say Black Lives Matter, that told me anybody can change.
He's like, yeah, that's kind of like, oh my God, Randall, what? So like friends of mine are like, wait, has Randall done anything bad lately? No, he's still good. Okay.
When not Randy Orton, when Randall Keith Orton said, you're like, because if you know Randy, you're like, you're not. That's why he's there. And then he said, I was like,
oh. I know, because like earlier he was totally tweeting Blue Lives Matter. So
he was. I one day went through I encourage anybody watching this YouTube, if you get a chance, go through his Twitter as to who he follows. And you'll be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Follows and likes. Sense. That's how like people find out this stuff. So briefly, because we're ending soon, have you seen the first 2 episodes of WandaVision?
Of course I did.
Oh man. Are you like, I mean, I presume that you're invested because one, you know, felt like that was so I am so hooked. It's so
I know that. So I'm hooked. I was already hooked from jump.
Yeah.
When I started when I heard what they were gonna do, and then I saw the trailer, I knew what this was. I was like, this is House of M and the Vision told by Marvel Studios, because they can't at this point, you know, when they're writing and the conception, they can't do everything they want. No more mutants. Mutants haven't been introduced at all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I understood it. Everybody I know that was like, this is boring. I was like, you have no idea what's about to happen.
Oh, it's sort of Legion-ish, and I love Legion.
You are one of the only other people I have talked to throughout this whole weekend about that who has compared. I'm the only person, and you're the second person I've heard who say, if you've had to watch Legion, you will understand what you are watching. If you've watched Legion.
Like, and the Easter, like, I haven't seen them all, but like I've seen pictures posted, like the Easter eggs, and like in episode 2 when it's going to color, somebody posted like a close-up of the wallpaper in the background, and it is the Hydra facility from Age of Ultron where you first meet Wanda.
Okay.
Like, it is very subtle, but it is straight up in that wallpaper. And I'm like, oh, this is some crazy stuff.
The fact that
the Hydra watch.
The watch, the toaster is the arc repulsor. So it's basically let go of your past. This is your future. Tony Stark bombed and toasted her parents, killed her parents. Again, Vision. First, I was just talking to my boy about this. So his name is Vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he lives in we know the community is made up in
Westview, WV.
We get that, but no one was like, so why's your name Vision?
Yep. like that dinner scene when he's choking, and I'm like, oh, this is like, stop it. Like, I'm like, oh, this is some creepy stuff I love.
Like she told stop it, and then she was like, Fizz, and then he just phases in and grabs,
pulls the sausage out.
I'm like, but that also, you know, this is Agatha Harkness now, because Mr. Scratchy, she called the bunny Scratchy. That's Nicholas Scratchy. That's the cat and all that. In the opening credits of episode 2, when they're in the supermarket, one of the banners say Bova.
Like, somebody looked it up. The next door neighbor, I cannot remember the character's name, because she talked about her anniversary, and somebody looked it up, and it is the exact anniversary of when the Salem witch trial started.
Yeah, Agatha Harkness, Captain Hart's character.
Oh yeah.
She's her name is Agnes, but she's actually Agatha Harkness. Also, this is the 50s and the 60s, right? One of the two. So I was the only one expecting Geraldine to be called a Negro, like, because I was like, y'all see this too. There's nobody around me. I'm like, so I'm the only one to see this. Like, we don't know this is about to happen.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and that reminds me of Wonder Woman 84, which I saw. Your very reasonable thing. Like, when I watched it, I turned my brain off. I had fun. And then I read everyone's comments. I'm like, oh, these are very valid points.
I went into that. Like I said, when I first read everybody's reviews that finally had dropped, I hadn't watched it. So I was like, that's why I literally posted, man, I'm watching these reviews. I'm reading these reviews, and woo, buddy. Yep. That's all I could say. And then I said, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch it for myself, like I always do. Fuck your reviews, fuck your opinions. I need my own, and then I'll come up with my own. And then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, word."
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's one black person in Washington D.C.
It's like this is Washington D.C. in the 80s. Y'all couldn't find no more than a homeless black dude, the black chick that she works for, that's the boss, the black assistant. That's it.
And the
Fuck.
little girl, yeah, like, or I saw Dark Sheik tweeting about it because she hadn't watched it, but she's like, "Oh, that movie where they show Middle Eastern that could wish for anything and they wish for nuclear weapons."
Was another thing. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Also, the dude again. I still stand by this. The dude who Chris Pine inhabits his body. This dude should not be living a normal life.
Like, where did I go for 2 days, 3 days?
Not even that. The shit that happens at the White House. Okay, everybody's like, oh well, he pardoned Max Lord, so Diana's in the clear. This motherfucker also helped Diana overthrow some terrorists in fucking desert. You're telling me dude lives a normal life after this?
Oh yeah, I forgot because like audience sees him as Chris Pine, but when you first see him, he's not Chris Pine. So that's how everybody else sees him.
It isn't until he says Diana, it's me. And then Diana, we've had the camera flip. Diana sees Steve Trevor, which, okay, she's seen Steve Trevor, so now the audience has to see Steve Trevor. Like, but it ain't fucking Steve Trevor.
Yeah, like, and she's perfectly okay with him taking over this dude's life for like such a long part of the movie.
And wants him to stay.
Yeah, like, what? Why didn't like? You could wish he could just create him. He could just come out of nowhere. But like, it's an added level of drama that does not hold up on any examination.
And everybody's like, oh, well, what about all these body swap things? The same fucking thing applies. But the thing is, it's like, this one was like, there were things, there's another big plot, and I forgot to even acknowledge it in my review. You know who should have been the bad guy of this movie? The god who made the wishing stone. The one that she brings up when she gets fearful. Oh, I know who did that.
What was his name? I can't remember.
Yeah, but whoever it is,
Duke of Deception, yeah.
Right, but whoever it is, that's who Maxwell Lord should turn into, since he wished to become the stone. Have him become that god. You made a major plot point and just was like...
Yeah, like, on the one hand, I'm like, I don't want to see her fight another god. But on the other hand... this movie, and like I enjoyed like her speech to the world, but also there's so many flaws about this movie that I'm like, when I ranked it on my thing, recency bias was very high up, making it like me like it a bit more because I thought like when I turned my brain off and didn't think of that and it about deeply at all, like past skin deep, I'm like, yeah, I had fun. And then I'm like, oh no, this is full of so many problems.
And then I'm like, again, they still haven't said why a cheetah.
Oh yeah, and there's no reason. She just says like, he's like, I'm feeling generous. Do you want anything else? Like, I want to be something different.
Apex predator. There's a bunch of fucking apex predators. She doesn't want, because we saw the cheetah. So we're supposed to just our brain is supposed to think if any novice screenwriter or not established screenwriter writes that in a script, it is thrown out because it's like, it makes no sense. Why is she wanting to be, okay, she wants to be an apex predator. Why is this the cheetah though?
Because that's the comics. But like, there's no plot, there's no reasoning. There's no A to B. Like,
yeah, we see the stuffed cheetah in their office. We see that. Let that tie into something. But it didn't.
No, like she wasn't researching the stuff from the comic, like the whatever the god that god was.
The god that makes none of that. Nothing.
Again, yeah, like, she's already super strong and all that stuff. She got that from the first wish.
And also, everybody keeps being like, oh, well, it goes back to that 80s cheesiness. Like I said in my review, that works if this is the first movie. This is not the first movie. This is the first movie has a whole different tone. And now all of a sudden we're going to go to cheesy and shit.
Yeah, like I disagree because I want comic movies to be more cheesy like that, but you gotta still write better. Like you still need to write better.
So Shazam gets cheesy. Shazam gets very cheesy in it,
Mhm.
but it
Well,
works.
yeah, like it's got that weird mixture of real dark but real cheesy.
I mean, it goes real dark in that boardroom. Everybody's
Well,
like,
the opening car crash is
the car crash is one thing, but the
yeah.
murders,
Oh yeah, we just bites a dude's head off
the
and tosses the guy
murders.
out the window.
And so, but again, we get it's established. This is the first Shazam movie,
Yeah.
so we're establishing the tone of what this movie
I
is.
know it's backpedaling entirely.
It's backpedaling completely with Wonder Woman. So I'm like, come on, like everybody's like, oh, well, you got to accept it for it. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an homage to the Donner Supermans. That's fine if you did that in one as well.
Yeah, it's like the only way I could see it working, but again, the script needs to be there. But like the first one takes place during World War One, so it's
Mhm.
going to be bleak. There's going to be bleakness to it. But like if you like go forward to like a much brighter period, which theoretically the 80s is, but like still there's not good writing to back it up. Like there's no like if all of a sudden a ridiculous like supervillain like from her I don't know, Giganta. If Giganta was the villain, then you could easily embrace the cheesiness of like
You
an
can
attack
embrace
of a
all the
50-foot
cheesiness.
woman.
Yep. You can embrace if you make Kristen Wiig become Giganta, you can make her become Giganta or something. Again, not it doesn't have to she doesn't have to be established, but you make her become it again, the wishing stone.
Yeah.
It works. It works. But again, this is
But
the
like
whole
like the villain and the plot don't make it work well.
again, Maxwell Lord should have become the god who created the god of he should have basically been Loki, because that's what the god is. The way she describes it's basically
And like
Loki.
shouldn't like it could have been anyone. Like calling him Maxwell Lord, it was like I get it because he was an enemy once in the comics to her. Like he's not like a long running villain. Like he was, if anything, like more people know him as like, oh hey, I'm part of the Justice League.
It's Superman. I mean, he's Lex Luthor light.
Yeah, and
He's
like
Lex
not
Luthor
even
light.
that
That's
because
why.
like Maxwell Lord and Supergirl was Lex Luthor light.
But that's why. But that's why they use it.
Yeah,
And it's like, come.
yeah,
Anyways,
but
matter
or at least
of fact, I'm gonna
WandaVision.
finish writing on my script now. And I'm actually making every time now, since I'm reading the screenwriter's Bible, I've been making sure like things I need to have that answer question. Like I set up questions and different things, and I'm answering them and all. I'm like, okay, I
Yeah,
got it
like,
now.
and I'm okay with some things not having answers. Like we love Legends of Tomorrow. Do not question how time travel works in that show because
Because
it'll fall apart.
we've established this show is going to do the most asinine and wild. I think that's why I keep telling everybody Legends works because it's established from the jump. There are no rules.
Yeah, but like if you open the hint of that question, you better have an answer.
And they give
But
it to you. And they'll
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
They'll answer it.
Versus like so like just in comic books in general, like why is Catwoman so good at what she does? Like if you never ask that question, people will not care why she's good at what she does.
No.
Like, but if you open that question, then you have to have an answer. And that answer keeps changing because comics.
Because of comics and different writers. Well, listen, I'm always grateful and glad to talk with you, especially you're one of the few people I get to have a full, long, in-depth conversation about wrestling with, as always, and you're phenomenal. If you want to, go ahead tell the people how they can reach and find you, because I know you're on the Twitches and on the Twitters.
Yep, I'm on Twitch and Twitter at Jolene 00 negative. It's basically the same thing. Like Twitter has less characters, but you can follow me on that. Again, I'll promote another women wrestler I love. Ashley Vox, one half the C Star. She's been recently seen on AEW Dark, at least, maybe Dynamite. I know Dark, but give her a follow. We'll check out her stuff. Check out the C Stars. Love them.
Check them out for sure. Definitely. That's a dope shirt. Like, I like the fact you promote women wrestlers and their merch so people who don't know can learn about them. And that's dope. I'm not about to tell y'all, as always, the same thing where I am. I haven't changed. It's Mr. J. Washington everywhere. I will tell you, make sure you check out Blurs in the Hood, though, every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, myself and Winston A. Marshall, all right? I'll holler at y'all next time for another one of these. Take care. I'm out. Bye.